Welcome, everybody, to the Matty Ice and Marky Mark podcast, the special interview segment. Today, we have none other than Larry Supermouth Huffman with us. How's it going, Larry?
All great, guys. How you doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining us. This is our season 6. It's going to be one of our debut episodes for season 6, so we're super excited to have you on this one.
Well, you're delusional, but that's all right.
But so why don't we just get right into it? We really wanted to kind of start out from the beginning. What got you into like voice acting and commentary work?
Well, I was a disc jockey, and I had a very difficult time because my voice didn't drop till I was 28.
Oh,
and
really?
So I got on the air in small markets and worked my way up, and it branched off to other things. Basically, that's how it worked.
What kind of so you were a disc jockey? What kind of music did you play on your radio station?
Rock and roll. I worked in Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, short times, and then got back to Southern California and started picking up different types of work.
Okay. So you did rock and roll. That's pretty funny considering the game that you did. So speaking on that, when you've been doing commentary and stuff like that for quite a while before this, but did Blizzard contact you first when you started the rock and roll racing? When you started doing voice work for it?
It wasn't Blizzard back then. There was a company called Interplay.
Yeah, that's right. Interplay. They made like
and
the clay flavor.
They called me and we worked out a deal, and I recorded it, and the rest is history.
What was it? Pretty cool working there and the recording everything. What was like the process for that? Was it probably a lot different than the remake right now, huh?
No, it's pretty much the same. They called me, the Blizzard people called me, and they said, we want to do an updated version of rock and roll racing. And I said, let me call my attorney and work out a contract. And I did, and he did. And we did it in the LA studios in December. And they blocked out 2 days. And I said, it's not going to take 2 days. It took 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. You just got all of the voice lines nailed, huh?
Well, it was interesting. LA Studios is a legendary old studio with a lot of talent being over there over the years, but with the pandemic, there was a receptionist at the front door and an engineer, and the director was home in his living room directing me over a headset, and it took 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it was done. They were happy.
That's awesome, man. You're just in and out like that. Got it taken care of.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Did it? Was it pretty cool to go back and kind of redo the work that you originally did on that game?
I guess so. It was a job, and I just did it the way they wanted it, and they were happy.
So when you did you ever play this game? Did you ever play Rock and Roll Racing at all?
I have never played it, believe it or not. I never have. And they tried to get me to do it. I just felt funny. I didn't know if I could do it or not.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I grew up playing that game, and it was amazing. It was one of the games.
It's funny. I had surgery 2 or 3 years ago, and in the post-operative appointment, I went in the room, and there was my surgeon and then a backup surgeon. And the backup surgeon said, I want you to know I'm a fan of yours. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, my buddies and I played rock and roll racing all through junior high, and when I saw your name on the list, I Googled you and found out you were the guy that did it. I was really blown away that I'd be dealing with you. He was a surgeon, and I was a poor but honest announcer.
That's awesome. When the game first came out, like back in the day in the 90s, there, did you have a lot of people that reached out to you and everything, like, or fans or anything that would want you to do like certain lines from the game or anything like that?
No, I never did that. They unveiled it at the national show in Vegas. God, I'm tired. It's been a long day, and I'm not thinking very clearly. A big national electronic show in Vegas, and they put me in a tuxedo and had me there on a little platform, and a few feet away was Muhammad Ali pushing his game, so I was pushing ours. And just
Holy cow.
They were happy.
That's crazy. So you got to stand on stage next to Mike Tyson, huh?
Muhammad Ali.
Or Muhammad Ali, I'm sorry.
He was probably 30 feet away from me. I never met him.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wow. What's
interesting
wild.
is I had friends that were in Tokyo, and they were walking down the street, and they passed an arcade, and they heard my voice, and they went inside, and it was rock and roll racing. It blew them away that they heard me in Tokyo.
It's crazy. So Mark and I work at video game stores, and I had a gentleman come in today actually asking for the Super Nintendo copy of that game, and I was like, no, we don't have it because it's a pretty rare game, but I was geeking out telling him that we were going to interview you later today about it. So
wow.
It was very coincidental.
Interesting.
So didn't get to play it too much, but we were curious as well. I saw you worked on a couple other video games like Spider-Man 2 and then Heavy Metal Machines you did a little work for.
I don't remember Heavy Metal Machines. Somebody called me the other day about doing it, and they never called back, so I don't know what happened. But I did. I'm the arena announcer on Spider-Man 2, which is probably the height of my career.
Nice.
Okay. Did you do any other video game work, or was there ever? Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got a call from a video game company in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and they wanted me to do a new video game. And I said, okay, I'll turn you over to my attorney. He can negotiate. So I called him, and he called them and worked it back and forth. And I did this video game for Brazil, and it was in English, although they speak Portuguese. And they wanted me then to come down and do personal appearances, and he quoted them at a real high price, and they didn't want to pay it. So that was that. And I haven't heard any more from Sao Paulo. An interesting thing, I think you guys will be interested in. I got a call about, 5 or 6 years ago from a video game company in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And the fellow called and he said, Mr. Huffman, he said, we're familiar with your work. We'd like to talk to you about doing a new video game. He said, tell me, do you do voices? And I said, well, I hear voices. And long pause, and then he started laughing. So I turned him over to my attorney, and my attorney called me after he talked to me. This is insane. He said, I'm going to make more money on this than you are because they want every T crossed, every I dotted, everything, because they're so protective of what they do with their game. They're very paranoid about the word getting out.
Okay.
And I said, well, I'd like to do it. So, yeah, it's my wife's and my anniversary. I'm going to take her to San Francisco. So work it out. So he did. So I get up there to San Francisco, and I walk into the building, and they greet me, and they said, this is our recording studio, Mr. Huffman. We've got it booked for two days. And I said, it's not going to take 2 days. And so, again, the same thing, about 2 to 3 hours, I laid this whole thing out. And to this date, guys, I do not know the name of the game. I don't know if it was ever released. All I know it was a baseball game, and I had to do 2 pages of boys and girls' names at exactly the same pitch.
Oh, wow.
So, Mark, Tom, Jim, Bob. And, and they paid me, the check cleared, and I was gone.
That's crazy. Yeah, we'll have to look.
I'll have to research it for you, and if I find it, I'll let you know.
I'd like to know if it ever made it. The baseball game.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely do some research and get back to you on that.
So I've got 2 questions kind of stemming from what you just said. The first one is, why do you have so many fans in South America and especially Brazil?
I was doing an international motocross race about 3 years ago, and people came up to me and they wanted me to sign autographs. And I said, where are you guys from? And they said, Australia. I said, how the hell do you know who I am? And they said, you're all over the internet with these YouTube videos. And so I guess that may be the same thing with Brazil. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then the other one is, I was doing some research, and I saw that you used to come up with nicknames for racers kind of on the spot.
Yeah, I did that a lot.
Was there ever one that really stood out, like your favorite nickname that you just came up with real quick?
Oh, God, let me think. Nothing comes to mind. I did a bunch of them. Nothing really comes to mind.
Okay. It's pretty funny if you would have done that for like rock and roll racing or something with like Hawk and all those different racers, just throwing some different nicknames in there for them.
Yeah, I just did a movie a year or 2 years ago called Hot Water. It's a jet ski movie. It's been released theatrically, both online and I think theatrically too. And I was the announcer, and they let me have fun with that. And, I use my standard lines, like he's on him like a Krishna on an airport traveler, and crazy stuff like that they really liked. And people are talking about that now and calling me. They've heard me on that.
Oh, nice.
That's
You
awesome.
said it's hot
fun.
water? It's called
Hot Water. It's out now.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
We'll
We'll have to
have to
definitely
check it
check
out.
it out for sure.
It's the Gone with the Wind of jet ski pictures.
That's amazing.
So, related to that, you've done a decent amount of work with TV shows and movies. Out of all the work that you've done with those, can you think of like a favorite or a least favorite show or movie that you had to do work on?
No, they were all about the same. I got picked up by Charlie's Angels, Knight Rider, Miami Vice, Chips, Renegade, Dynasty, Fantasy Island. I had a principal role on Fantasy Island. It was kind of interesting. I think you guys could get a kick out of this. Apparently, one of the producers of Fantasy Island, and you don't remember it because it was before your time, but it was really popular back then. And he went to the Supercross in the Coliseum and heard me and said, we got to have that guy to do voiceovers on our shows. So that led me to 20th Century Fox, Universal, Warner Brothers, that type of thing. And I did a whole bunch of that stuff. And the checks are coming in now, but now they're 37 cents. They're not that large now.
Oh, so you're still getting royalty checks from it, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you do something on television, as long as you're alive or your family's alive, you get checks for it.
That is crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just stuff that you were doing way back when, still getting. It's funny that they still would even write a check for like 37 cents or something like that.
Believe me, they have. They really have, because they have to do it.
That's awesome.
I'm in the Screen Actors Guild, so I get a pretty good check every month.
Okay.
Retirement check.
That's awesome, man.
Did you have a favorite show that you worked on that you can think of?
Probably Fantasy Island, because they really treated me super nice, and it was fun to work with. Ricardo Montalban was a super nice guy. Hervé Villachet was a jerk. That was Tattoo, if you remember. I don't know if you do, but he was a miserable little man, and I mean little. He was so tall he could have been the groom at his own wedding cake. It's that bad.
Oh my God,
That's awesome.
that's amazing. All right, so we'll get into some of the racing that you did. So.
Yeah.
I saw that you were inducted into the AMA Hall of Fame in 2008, as well as the Trailblazers Hall of Fame in 2013.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that the AMA was a big moment for you. What did it feel like getting inducted into the Hall of Fame for that?
It was really a big deal, because that's a very prestigious organization, and they treated me very well, and it was really a boost. Really a nice gesture on their part.
And when you look at the bio under your AMA Hall of Fame, it kind of tells everyone that without you, they wouldn't have really been able to build the fans that they were able to, just because you brought so much excitement. Granted, that's why you got the Supermouth title. So why do you think you were the first one to do that? It seems like a sport that naturally you would be excited and loud for. So it's cool. It's amazing that you got the title for that, and it's surprising that you were one of the only ones to do it.
Well, because the other ones didn't do that. I mean, the old time announcer Roxy Rockwood, who was a wonderful announcer, he was just a sedate, straightforward announcing, no excitement. And back in the 70s, Cycle World magazine called me and they said, we want to do an article on you, the new young announcer, and Roxy, the old announcer. I said, great, I appreciate it. Please set it up. We'll do it. Well, they called Roxy, and Roxy blew up at him and said, I will not be in an article with a Huffman. He's an idiot. He's a crazy guy, and he'll never last. He'll never last. So they called me and said, he won't do it, but we want to do it in you. I said, fine. So they did a 5-page article or 3-page article on me, the world's largest motorcycle magazine. It really helped my career. But he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't get excited. And,
I've seen one of my best friends growing up, we would watch Supercross and Motocross together. And it's still kind of today, it doesn't seem like announcers really carry as much energy as you did, which still surprises me. It's with something that's that kind of like high octane action. You'd seem like you would want that type of announcer all the time.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. And people are blown away because they can't believe that back in the 70s with 70 technology, my voice was so clear, and I'd done radio before, so I knew how to use it. And now they can't understand the announcers. That's what I've heard, because they don't have the voice. I don't know. They just don't have the excitement of the voice, and I don't know,
So while you were doing announcing and color commentary and all that for Supercross and all that stuff, out of all the countries that you went to, do you have a favorite one that you went to, like Japan or anything in Europe?
Yeah. Japan was, I did the first Tokyo Supercross in '82. And then the next year I was called back to do it, the second Supercross Japan. And that was in, oh God, what was it? It was the old Japanese capital.
Was it Kyoto?
And, yes, Kyoto. Thank you. I'm tired because I've been to the doctor today. I'm not as sharp as I usually am.
Oh, it's all good.
So okay, as long as you guys are happy, I'm happy. So we got to. It was interesting. Kyoto, the stadium was sold out. 40,000 Japanese, totally sold out. And so we got there. I went up to the broadcast booth. The woman that was escorting me said, "All right, Larry-san, there's your microphone." I said, "Great. Who's my interpreter?" And they said, "You don't have an interpreter. The fans have read about you in the magazine. They want you to see they want you to sound like you sound in the States." I said, "You want me to announce to 40,000 fans and they don't understand a word?" "That's right. There's a microphone, Larry-san." So I announced the entire race in English to a crowd that didn't understand maybe 1/10 of it. But every so often I would stand up in the booth and I would yell, "Bonsai!" And they went crazy. True story.
That's amazing.
That's awesome, man. When you were in Japan, did you ever? A lot of our listeners, obviously, they're huge into video games, and Japan's a really big place for video games. Did you ever check any of the arcades out or anything like that while you were there at all?
No, I was usually in and out pretty fast.
Okay.
I really was.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome, though, man. That's cool that you had that many people and they had no idea what you were saying.
But they wanted to hear me as I sounded in the States, and it blew me away, and they were happy. They paid me, and the check cleared.
That's awesome.
That is crazy. Did you do a lot of work in Japan afterwards?
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was the voice of all the Suzuki stuff for like 5 or 6 years, and they would fly me in and put me in the studio for a day or two, pay me, and I would fly back home. So I did a lot of stuff for Suzuki in Japan.
That's a lot of flying.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lot of flying. I think I was a gold or above that for a long time, flyer.
I was curious, just watching a lot of those old Supercross and Motocross clips. Out of all the brands of bikes that used to race, like Yamaha, Suzuki, I don't know if KTM was around back then. Who was like the main one that would sponsor events and that you saw all the time?
You mean the main manufacturer?
Yes.
Yamaha did a lot of them. Honda sponsored, Kawasaki, Suzuki, they would all have a piece of the action, They were promoting it.
Did any of those manufacturers ever contact you about any sponsorships, or have you do any advertising, anything for them?
Yeah, they all did. And an interesting point was there was a racer called Jay Springsteen. It was a flat track racer for Harley. And Jay was not very polished. And Dick O'Brien, who was the racing manager for Harley, was listening to a radio show where Springsteen was the guest. And the host of the show asked him, "What do you ride when you go out and ride with your friends?" And Springsteen said, "You got to be crazy, man. I won't ride a motorcycle on the street. You could get killed." And true story. And Dick almost drove off the road. So the manufacturers contacted me and hired me to teach all their riders what to say, how to be interviewed, what to wear. Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Harley Davidson. And I did that for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was neat. And they trusted me, and they were very, really, really good people to work for.
Okay, so we wanted to try and make this interview possibly a little different from any ones that you've had in the past. So,
okay,
we have a segment on our show, and sorry if this, I'm just going to drop the swear word because it is an adult show. We've got a segment that's called Fat Dudes Face Fucking Food, where we talk about different food that we like to eat and different experiences that we like. By the way, if you want to swear, it's totally an adult show, so you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
But we had two questions kind of behind this.
Okay.
Out in California, you have a lot better variety of food than we do in Michigan. We don't really get a whole lot. We got a lot of fast food around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of, like, what's your favorite and least favorite fast food establishment?
Oh Christ, I can eat damn near anything. I'm not good on sushi. I don't like that.
No.
But I can eat just, I trust me, I've eaten just about everything when I've been on the road. True story.
You have any sort of memories or stories of like a bad fast food experience?
It's funny. My wife still doesn't believe I said this, but we were doing the Pontiac Supercross, and we discovered a little restaurant in Pontiac, Michigan. They had the best nachos I've ever had. I can't remember what it was, but my wife and I got all the riders to go there, and they hated it. My wife hated it, but I thought it was great. It was a little restaurant in Pontiac.
That's awesome.
I like Michigan. I've been there a bunch of times. Go ahead.
Nice.
Okay, what's your so did you do a lot of work, like, obviously Pontiac's one of the main racing places. Did you do a lot of work in Detroit, Pontiac, Grand Rapids?
Never Grand Rapids, Pontiac, and Detroit, and then all across the country, the Supercrosses, Madison Square Garden, and all the rest of them. I did all those.
You ever go to Michigan International Speedway?
No, I never did.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to a few NASCAR races there, but yeah, nothing much else.
Okay. Lastly, out of all the countries you've been to, all the food you've eaten there, do you have a memorable experience from anything, like eating food from Japan or going down to South America and eating food there, anything like that?
Well, I haven't been to South America. I just did the video game.
Oh, okay.
Japan, Japan's great food. I like that. I've been there a bunch of times. I don't know how many times. I enjoy the Japanese food. I enjoy, all that type of stuff.
Nice.
Okay.
I have a little bit of an off-color story, if I could tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Share anything.
All right, the father of Supercross was Mike Goodwin. He's in prison serving a double murder conviction for Mickey Thompson and his wife. I worked for Mickey and I worked for Mike. I knew him very well, very close. And I'll try to condense this so it doesn't take up a whole lot of time. I was doing speedway racing, announcing, and motocross, and I heard that Mike Goodwin, whoever the hell he was going to put on a race in a stadium. So I called him and I said, I'd like to be your announcer. And he said, well, I don't know. I've got a bunch of people that want to be the announcer. I said, well, trust me. So, okay. The AMA said you have to do 3 races before we'll give you a sanction for a stadium race. This was 1972. So he did one in Sacramento, Cal Expo, and then he did one at Saddleback and at Carlsbad. And he hired me for Saddleback, and then he liked me so much he hired me for Carlsbad. And so I'm announcing the next year at Carlsbad in the booth. There was 20,000 people there, and he comes into the booth. Every story you've ever heard about Goodwin is true. Trust me. And he comes in the booth with his porn star girlfriend.
Oh,
He's drunk. He's drunk. And I'm on the microphone. And he comes out. He's Huffman. And I click the microphone off and say, yeah, Mike, what is it? He says, how about you and I and Trixie going back to the motel afterward and having a threesome?
Holy crap.
I said, Mike, I'd love to, but I never learned how to play golf. And he started laughing, and he stumbled out of the booth, and that was it. He wandered away. True story.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. I was actually reading a little bit about that. How you worked for Mickey Thompson for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I did his movie, Man in a Steel Cage. I was the on-camera host.
When you heard about his death, did you kind of... It seemed like a lot of people really knew that Goodwin kind of had it out for him. Did you know anything about that at the time?
I knew. The whole thing. Mickey called me one day and he said, Larry, I've decided to go in partnership with Goodwin. I said, you're out of your mind. He's going to screw you. No, I'm 59. Time for me to retire. I swear to God, he's going to screw you. And Goodwin tried, and Mickey won, and Mickey got the Supercross. And then the morning he was killed, I'd been to Mickey's house before. I got a call like 6 o'clock. There's been a shooting in the area where he lived, and so I started checking on it, and it was Mickey Thompson who'd been killed. So my wife and I drove to Anaheim Stadium, and they set up a press conference, and I emceed it. And it was a weird deal because we just announced Anaheim, I believe. We just had the race, and I walked into the room, and there's all this press from all over. And Mickey's lawyer comes up to me. He says, "Larry, I want to tell you that was the greatest bit of announcing Saturday night I've ever heard." And I thought, what a strange thing to say. His main guy had just been murdered that morning, and he complimented me on my announcing.
Huh. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
But Goodwin's in prison. Mickey's dead. What are you going to do? You know?
Yeah. I was researching and kind of went down a rabbit hole with that whole thing. So it's funny we kind of got around to that because I wanted to ask you about it. But did you have any questions for us? We're kind of getting near the end of this one. Did you have any questions for us?
No, I hope I answered everything you guys needed to know.
Absolutely.
What are you up to now, man? You got any like projects you're working on?
No, there's nothing happening with the COVID-19 thing. I think I've had 2 jobs in the last year. I've got a big gig coming up at the Orange County Fairgrounds in a couple months. It's a demolition derby.
Oh, nice.
Which I do every year. That'll be fun. But there's not a whole lot happening right now.
That's sweet.
Just kind of enjoying retirement, right?
I am retired. We have a little ranch up in Big Bear. My wife's into horses, and we have a very sedate life. Not much happening at all.
Got any big Easter plans coming up this weekend?
I go over to my home health care nurse who's having an open house. We may go over there, but that's basically it.
Okay. Well, hey,
are they ever going to get the Silver Dome back up again, or is that done forever?
I think they blew it up, man.
Yeah, I think they imploded it. It was it's a bummer. They got rid of all the cool stadiums in Michigan. They got rid of Tigers and the Silver Dome. It's a bummer.
Oh, wow. I really enjoyed Pontiac. It was a great place to announce.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big place, man. WrestleMania 3. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant.
Was that at the Silver Dome? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Broke the indoor attendance record. Hey, Larry, would you be offended if I attempted my impression of some rock and roll racing announcing?
Go right ahead, sir.
All right, I really want your opinion on it.
You gotta give an honest opinion.
This is a dream come true. Okay. All right, here we go. Hawk scores a first place knockout. Rip takes a second. Shred takes a weak third. Viper is in another time zone.
That's pretty good, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's that. I'm usually better than that. I'm nervous. I'm super nervous. I promise it's usually better. Yeah, man. I've always like me and my brother and my sister playing that game. Like we would always quote you all the time, man. So
yeah,
that blows me away. Like the surgeon said, I'm a fan of yours, and what the hell are you talking about? My buddies and I in junior high used to play that game. Blew me away, you know?
Your quotes have made it into a few episodes of the podcast, and we just say stuff like that all the time.
yeah, like Hawk takes a warp.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, that's good, man. I'll wear the white boots, the mini skirt. If I'm going to be a prostitute, I might as well dress like one.
Well, we really appreciate you being on this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, it means a lot to have one of the icons from the Super Nintendo days talk with us.
Is there any way we can get you to wish my brother Dom a happy birthday? His birthday's coming up in a couple days.
What is it, Dom or Dominic? What is it?
Yeah, Dominic. Yep.
Dominic. Okay. Let me figure out what I'm doing. Get ready, Southern California. It's Dom's birthday. He's not here right now. He's probably driving a nitro-burning, fire-breathing tire sergeant super crowd down the quarter mile. When the beep beeps, be there. That's an answer phone thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks, man. He's gonna love that.
I could have been better, but I had no time to prepare.
No, you're good. I put you on the spot.
It was on the spot. This
You did good.
whole interview's been on the spot. But
I
Go ahead.
I have a friend of mine in Oregon, Steve McKelvey, wanted to tune in tonight to listen to you guys, see how you could torture me. So hopefully, if he's listening, hi, Steve. Go from there.
Yeah, I will. I'll send all the links for everything so you can send it to him and
please do. I would appreciate that.
Hopefully, we didn't embarrass you too much either.
No, hopefully, I gave you enough to work with.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thank you again for joining us for this one, man. We really appreciate
happy to do it, guys. It was very nice of you to remember me.
Absolutely.
All right, take it easy, Larry. It was good meeting you, man.
All right, bud. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
See ya. All right, and that was our interview with Larry Supermouth Huffman.
Yeah. Wow. That was awesome. Some
Crazy.
really cool stories from him. It's cool when you do some research on Larry. You don't get a lot of the other stuff that he's maybe done in his life. You don't get a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with like rock and roll racing or just necessarily his experiences in the places that he's been. So
I feel bad, man. I was so nervous. I think I messed up my.
that's pretty good. No, I wouldn't worry
I've
about
done
it.
so much better. I'm like, Hawk.
You really do a good.
Yeah, I know. I do a good Larry Huffman.
You know what? We'll record one for him. We'll send it to him and see if he likes it.
No, yeah, that was definitely a dream come true. That was freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't played the game, definitely get that new Blizzard Arcade collection.
Absolutely.
Get Larry some royalty checks.
Yeah, hell yeah. He deserves it. Well, thank you everyone for watching this episode, and thanks again, Larry, for being our guest star on it. It's a huge deal for us.
We'll have a full episode podcast up here soon, so you guys stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed this little new thing we're doing. So you guys take care. Have a good one. Peace.